All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are excited that you are back. We are streaming live. Yes, we want to hear your questions. Type your questions in. If for some reason we don't see them, we are streaming on several platforms. Then we will answer them a little later, but we will answer them today. My name is Michelle LeNore, and I help small businesses get certified so they can become the go to business within supplier diversity program. So, I also help large businesses with their supplier diversity programs to ensure that their vendors are minority certified so they can bid on those multi-million dollar, billion dollar contracts. But we know that a lot of help is needed within the small businesses. And that's where I come in. And of course, I partnered up with a fabulous woman, Shannon Battle, who will talk about how to take you step by step into filling out the information for an RFP so you can win. Okay, win a contract. And I'll give it over to you, Shannon.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. I'm Shannon, as Michelle had introduced, and I am a business owner. I myself have gone through the small business certification process through the SBA as well as through my local government. And what I can say is it is definitely not for the weary because it is very taxing. And if you don't know what information to include, it can be very scary. So I'm here to be able to help assist and explain to you what not to do and how to do something better. Because as you're growing in business, you're learning more about your company. A lot of the things you don't know. For example, there are a lot of people who started companies and they don't have a policy and procedure manual. You have people who have LLCs without having the right documents to support the voting process for your business. So you have bylaws that you have to create. There's company structures that you have to put in place. And those are the type of questions that will be asked once you go through that application process. So I feel like I've gone through in different phases as they have been evolving and changing processes within the SBA on definitely what not to do so you can do it at an accelerated pace and not delay your application from getting reviewed and approved.
I love that and that touches on a little bit about what we talked about last week. Business owners, they're busy. Some business owners are actually working in the business and yet as we say, be called a business owner. But either way it goes, it's like business owners, we're busy. And yes, there is information out there like, okay, you need to go ahead and do these 200 things. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to do what? But it's like between the both of us, we have over 45 minority certifications, and it's throughout all the states. Well, I say most of the states because it's 45. We know there's 50 states in the United States, right? And it stems from local. So we have the hub, we have MWBE, which is Minority Woman Business Enterprise. I have one that's called the Black Women Business Enterprise SWAM, another one from Virginia, from Hawaii. We have the federal one, which is the EDWOSB, and the WOSB, which is economically disadvantaged woman owned small business. And there's so many that's out there, but we're focusing a lot on the women. And our purpose for focusing a lot on the women is because there's so much opportunity out there for women-owned small businesses. And if you don't have these certifications, then you are missing out on set aside contracts that are out there, set aside opportunities that can easily scale your business to millions. Okay. And so we want you to have that advantage. Without that, you're competing with big companies like a Microsoft, like a Google, like whatever big company that's around you, and you want to have that certification, because guess what? You always don't have to be the prime. We talked about that. You don't have to be the main one on that contract, because a lot of times within those huge contracts, there is a percentage that is set aside for someone who is certified as a DBE, a MBE, a WB. I could say all the alphabet, but if you have that minority certification, that huge business, they're looking for you. Okay. They're looking for, like, okay, I have this $2.5 billion contract. And within that contract, it's stating that 10% of this contract has to go towards someone who is certified as a WOSB, right? So if you're certified, you're on the list, they're looking for you. All right. So not only are they looking for you, you are being active. You are marketing your business as you look at different contracts that you're interested in. Okay. So we're going to talk and we're going to touch a little bit on that about the contracts. But before you get certified, there are some things that you need. And again, Shannon and I, we've both been through them. The biggest, I would say, the biggest hindrance, and Shannon, tell me if this is true for you, that when I'm working with the clients is the financials. It's like, have you submitted your taxes?
Yeah,
That's one of the things.
and that's a challenge because a lot of people, and one thing I do, want to just be able to understand and align with, individuals who are just starting businesses. You're really trying to figure it out. But one thing I do suggest is, while you're figuring that out, the first person you hire that you consult with is an accountant. Because if it's not, if the books can't tell you what's going on, your brain is going to fail you, because in your mind it may look one way until the numbers hit the paper. So you need to understand your profit and loss statements. You need to understand how this balance sheet reads, because what people want to know is, are you sustainable? If there were going to be some issues that come up in business, do you have some type of cushion to be able to show that you're not just credit worthy, but financially you can stand up and maintain this project without having to worry about not completing that contract out. So your books are very key. They're very essential, and a lot of people get afraid, or they'll say, well, I don't have a lot of revenues to be able to report. You need to report whatever it is that you have. And then you do have revenues, because for most small business owners, you probably loaned your company money to get started. So that would be a long-term liability that would be on your balance sheet, but you show that you have some working capital. So the things that I'm explaining, for some people, if you haven't organized the books correctly, you're doing it yourself and you're not doing it properly, you're not calculating your depreciation to be able to help offset some of those liabilities, so you can show that possibly there is some net worth in the business, then you definitely need to get an accountant. I do not give any type of consulting about accounting. I can only talk about what I understand. That's why you definitely want to hire that person. And it's not as costly as what you think it is, because a lot of times, if you've already structured and you've put in tallied some expenses, you give that information to a bookkeeper, and then they'll be able to help you to be able to get the information that you'll need to submit for your certifications.
I love that. You were talking about, knowing how to read what is coming in, what is going out, your expenses. All of this is important, because, we're going to touch a lot on the finances, is because also they want to know if you have submitted your taxes. The government wants to know that. So if we're looking at the federal portion of things, they want to know if your taxes have been submitted. This is where the contracts are coming from. The contracts are coming from our taxes. So if you're not a taxpayer, chances are you won't get certified, because they'll see, like, wait a minute, why are we rewarding you and you have not submitted your taxes? So it's okay if you also owe your taxes. Again, I'm like Shannon, I don't give financial advice. There are things that I know that they ask for, different agencies that they ask for. And it's pretty much, as long as if you do owe taxes and you do have a plan with that agency, then you can still get certified. I have been able to still get folks certify as long as they have a plan with that agency. This goes the same with the state. The state wants to see where your taxes going. So if you have not submitted your taxes, they're looking at 3 to 5 years of taxes. Then if you haven't submitted them, I'm like, Shannon, go ahead, talk to your CPA, get everything under control. You know, CPAs, some of them, I know some offices, they're connected with other people who can do taxes. Other CPAs have, you know, things. So me, I don't touch that. You talk with your CPA about the tax thing. The other thing concerning the taxes is if you are married, if you are married, make sure you are in alignment with your spouse. There will be questions asked both on the local, state, and federal level concerning those taxes with your spouse to get that certification. So you want to be clear, you want to be open when you're talking to them about getting that certification. And Shannon, if you want to add anything to that, that would be great.
So as we start going into looking at the SBA certification specifically, where your finances really are going to kick in is for the ED WOSB. So if you're claiming that you want to be considered economically disadvantaged, then they're going to ask financial information because you got to be able to prove that you are economically disadvantaged. And then also when you start applying for like your 8A certifications, they're not going to want just your financials for, say, company MeU123. They're going to want the financials also from your other companies that you're associated with. So as you're applying for these different certifications, you want to make sure that you clearly understand what you're getting into. It is definitely advantageous for people who are in business to just go ahead and get this certification because it's going to elevate you and make you more competitive when you are applying for certain types of government contracts, which is specifically why we're showing up, why we're doing this, because there's a lot of money that's left on the table because people just aren't applying. And some people aren't applying because they don't have the certification. And then when people start going through the certification process, a lot of people just trail off and they don't complete it because of the back and forth and not understanding the documentation that has to be submitted. So our mission today is to just help streamline you in an advanced way on how to understand that submission process, what it is that, what does it mean when we're looking at those requirements, because they have different types of things that you have to check. There's a checklist in place on how to prepare when you're submitting it. So if just for example, your US citizenship, you got to be able to prove that. You got to make sure you have the right photo, when you're uploading those things. How are you claiming your 51% ownership as a woman-owned small business? So if you're in partnership, like she was saying, if you're married and you have this business with your spouse, if he is, say, for example, the majority owner in the company, then you're not going to be eligible for a woman-owned small business certification. It has to be a woman it has to be a woman or women that can show that they have 51% ownership in the business. So if say, for example, is you, your husband, and your son, if your percentage doesn't total more than theirs, then you're not going to be eligible. So then you might want to go back and look at how your corporate documents are structured. So if you have your corporation, then you want to look at the bylaws that you have in place for your corporation. If you have your LLC, you want to look at your operating agreement. What does that look like in terms of how we need to do the amendments to change the structure and ownership of the company, so then you can compete as a woman-owned small business?
That's really good because you were talking about like different partnerships. I know I was working with one client, and that was one of the issues. It was 6 of them. There were 6 partners, and they really couldn't prove that the wives, so it was three married couples, that the wives were really the knowledgeable ones, the ones who were controlling everything. They were just trying to get that certification. So I want you guys to be really, really careful about that too, because if they find any fraudulent activity, there is a chance that you will not be able to ever get minority certified, missing out on opportunity, or you won't be able to do it for a very long time. And that goes just across the board. So you want to be really careful about that. Like Shannon said, make sure that it is in your paperwork. And then also, there are times when you're getting interviewed. Okay, so I had one person who said she was 51%, but her husband did everything. She was 51% only on paper. And I was like, okay, so you guys, you guys are going to get interviewed. And she was like, well, I don't know what to say. And I'm like, well, you're not the control of the company. So you're going to get yourself in trouble. I say, so it's time to have a conversation with your husband and to say, okay, what part do I really have and what part does he have? And then you guys can always meet together. So the partnership, that 51%, that's across any minority certification. It has to be 51% or more to get that certification. Okay. So the other thing that you need is that you guys need a resume. I know a lot of business owners like, I own my own business, Michelle, I don't need a resume. You always need a resume, guys. You always need a resume. And the resume, again, needs to show the type of control that you have over the business. Like Shannon said, this is what we do. This is why we came together, because we have streamlined this, that we want to get you guys certified and we want you guys to get winning these contracts, or at least know how to walk through a contract, because we know it's different per state, per department, per like everything. They ask for different things. But one of the things that I have seen consistently is they want to see who's the head of this particular RFP, and that usually shows within a resume. And so the next thing that now, even though this is not standard, I have found that it was necessary for my clients to have their capability statements, especially if it is required for them to have an interview. Sometimes you may not be able to articulate exactly what you are doing. You should, because it's your business, but perhaps the state representative or the government representative, they still don't know. The capability statement is so helpful. That is how one of my clients, how she was able to get certified. The person, he was like, I don't understand. She said, here's my capability statement. He was like, oh, okay, now I understand. And your capability statement, you might say, Michelle, what is a capability statement? If your business was a person, okay, what do they offer to solve a problem? So it is your business resume. Okay. So again, we'll call your business John. If John was doing all of these skills, strategies, and activities, you want to put that in a resume. That is what a capability statement is. John has the certifications. Okay, wait a minute. We're talking about women. Sarah has these certifications. Sarah is skilled in project management. Sarah is skilled in curriculum building. Again, it is a resume for your business.
Right. So, like with the capability statement, that's just you presenting the business. So, you're not really selling yourself, you're selling the business. And a lot of people, they get really, sketchy about when it comes to sales. And I hear a lot of people in business, small business, say, I don't sell. You sell all the time. Anytime that you're telling someone about your kid, or you're going to the school to try to advocate for them not to get suspended, or whatever it is, you're selling something. And I think if you posture it to look at yourself, even if it's, say, your LLC and it's just you, a part of the LLC, and then you're selling the business. It's a product, it's a service. So do well by the product. So if your business is, so I went to a coffee shop today and it's Black owned. It's called Just for Love, and she has a coffee shop. And what I noticed when I was reading in there, she's also in, I think she's either prior military or still active duty. So she would definitely qualify as woman owned, or she could go for the WOSB, which is the veteran owned small business. And so for this, she needs to be able to sell her coffee. And when you look at certain industry codes, and we'll get into that a little bit later, you want to be able to understand what it is that you offer. What can you offer the government? What have you done in respect to, say, selling coffee? So when you're doing the capability statement, you're not selling yourself as the person, you're selling the company. And so you want to talk about some of the contracts that you may have had. You want to talk about the work experience that the business has had. You want to include on there things like your DUNS number. You want to include those, was it NICE codes, NAS codes, your industry codes. You want to include your SAMS number on there. You just, you want to be able to spell out where people can find the business. And even if you don't have, say, credit history with DUNS or whatever, it doesn't matter. You want to show that, look, I'm in position, I'm prepared, because they are going to, when you're selected, when they're looking at you for government contracts, you're going to get an alert from DUNS that somebody's looking at your profile. So these systems are going to alert you that people are looking. What are they doing? They're verifying the information on your capability statement. So you definitely want to make sure that you're truthful on there, and that if they were to just follow up, a lot of them, they want to know, once you're selected, some references, and that would be the same on a regular resume. So it's not too, they're very parallel, but it's on the business side. So when you're looking at, okay, how do I present the business? I definitely would have somebody look at it, because you want to make sure that you present yourself well, because we already know that resumes, people get them a dime a dozen. If it doesn't have a certain look that captures what it is that employer is looking for, they're just going to toss it. And that's the same with companies that are looking to partner with you, because you're not the only one competing. And if they have, a laundry list of people they need to go through, if your capability statement shows WOSB, or it shows the MBWE and these other, certifications, then that will get more attention for them, because they're looking at, okay, how can we now include and meet criteria if we have, say, a federal contract and it requires us to show some type of good faith effort to partner for at least 20% of what we're offering to these small minority businesses.
No, I love that. I love that, how you broke that down. When you were like, it has to, just like your resume, it has to capture their attention, because if it's a very popular RFP, if the amount is high, if they break up, if they're willing to break up the RFP, so if there's 10 parts to it or 10 services or products that they're asking for, and they say, the company don't have to offer all these products, again, it's like you have more players who are bidding on that particular RFP. But then going back to the certification, before you can even bid as a minority, you want to get that certification. We even talked about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is huge. Last week I had talked about how I was able to help my clients using LinkedIn who are certified or who are about to be certified get 5, 6, 7, and 8-figure contracts. Okay, using LinkedIn. Now, these are all female. These are all women of color, because they're looking for you. These corporations are looking for you. Sometimes we're thinking like, okay, why are we doing this on LinkedIn? Because government officials are on LinkedIn. And who else is on LinkedIn? Large corporations. You heard me mention Microsoft. You heard me. Well, we'll even talk about LinkedIn. I know LinkedIn and Microsoft are already together. But again, they actually get contracts from the government. And as they get contracts from the government, again, it's that percentage that's in that that's in that contract that says 10% has to go towards a minority, or 5%, or 25%, or 36%, whatever that percentage is, they are looking for you. And so even though you are a part of a database, so once you get the certification, you are a part of the database, but you do have to understand like Shannon said, you have to stand out. So if I'm out here, oh, I went the wrong way, y'all. If I'm out here, and you look at my LinkedIn, and my LinkedIn is looking very barren and bare, and you go to my website, there's not a whole lot about me. Again, they want to see the credibility. They want to feel the warm and fuzzy of like, okay, I see the business. The business site looks really great, but I want to get to know the person behind the business. And this is where your LinkedIn is most definitely helpful. And then also, your LinkedIn may or may not get you that certification, because if you're saying like I'm in construction, and this is all of my licensing, but then you go on my LinkedIn and I'm talking about beauty. I have a beauty store. There's nothing wrong with you having a beauty store, but there are different things that you need to do while you're going through that certification process that won't have the person pausing to think like, did I get the wrong information for this person to be certified? So you don't want them to be second guessing the information that you have out there about your professionalism.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the pitfalls and even what you were talking about before, and then on the resume, you need to be able to make sure that you can give a letter of explanation, some type of business verification, because if you have all of these things listed on your LinkedIn and you're submitting your resume for your certification and it doesn't match what they're, go and research to see, you're not including that you do 3 other jobs, they're going to want to know, how can you give 100% to this job that you're trying to get the certification for when you have so many other jobs? Yes, it looks attractive to show that you're, a multitasker and can do so many things. But when you look at to be able to, partner in with in government entities to show that you're going to be a good steward, a good manager of these government dollars that they're going to pass through you to provide whatever service it is, then you want to make sure that you can 100% show up in the capacity of being able to manage that company. So when you're talking about, okay, if I'm 51% ownership, that means I'm looking at risk, management. I'm looking at financial management of the company. I'm overseeing possibly the staffing that goes on within the company. And you got to be able to show how you make all of that work. So if you have other companies, you got to show, you got to be able to quantify how much time you spend in each company. And then they're going to actually calculate to see, can you effectively do all of those hours with the other companies and still give full time to the company that you're applying for certification. Another pitfall, when she was saying earlier about marriage, if you're married and say you're separated and you're trying to apply for the ED WOSB, then you got to have 3 years tax returns. And your spouse is going to have 3 years tax returns. So now you have to look at, okay, do I even need to try to submit for this? Especially if there's a bid coming up, because a lot what we talk about when we work and mentor other women is when you know that a contract is coming up for bid in about a year, you need to be preparing now. And if they're already going to designate that to an ED WOSB, but yet you're separated or you're newly divorced and you can't get those 3 years tax returns, you're not going to be able to compete because you can't get access to what's required to get that certification. So instead of taking your time to prepare for it, knowing that that's going to be a delay, you either got to make a decision about changing the type of certification, or then you have to make a decision about, researching other RFP opportunities that are available, which is request for a proposal. So when we're talking about getting you in position and helping you to be able to accelerate your revenues, this is really a game changer for individuals who are looking at, how can I do business on this government level and make more money? How do I get into the millions? You have to be able to start somewhere. A lot of times I see people, they'll think that, well, I've been doing the business and, I just can't get it. And they'll say all of those things. Well, you got to find ways to get yourself visible, get yourself connected. If you're one of the contractors under a bigger contract and then that contract goes up to bid 3 years later, and you can show that you were able to manage your part of that for that 3 years, and a new company is coming on, maybe you can then do a joint venture with that company, or maybe you might then be in position to be able to bid on it as the prime contractor. It just depends, but it never is going to get to that level if you don't start somewhere, and you don't start here. And applying for that certification, what we're just really trying to get you all to understand is that it will accelerate you from a profit standpoint. And then once you're in that position, and then now you have your local certifications, that's where, you know, a lot of opportunities come in as well. So if you've ever went just out to the local government agencies, if you go to just say some government buildings, and say they have concessions or something like that, and you want to be able to offer the concessions, well, do you have your local certifications? Do you have that minority distinction? So then now you can compete even for those. And the reason why you want to have those things in place, because now your business structure is in place. You know how to talk about how to do business, not the fact that I just run a business. This is how I can do business with you because I have these systems in place. And when people see that you're knowledgeable and then you're skilled on top of that, then they want to do business with you. But I see a lot of people when they go in, you know, and they'll say, well, I've been laying bricks for 10 years, and you know, you should hire me, and you know, all these other companies coming in and they're getting the contracts, and I can't get any contracts. Well, you can't get any contracts because your books aren't in order. You don't have financials to be able to submit so you can get your certifications and qualifications so that you can compete for these type of projects when they become available. And this is what we keep saying, and we just want to keep hammering in and reiterating. If you are a business owner, you should be first in line in getting your certification process completed. And Michelle was talking last week about there's a deadline coming up, and then there's some changes that are getting ready to happen. If you want to be ahead of that when those changes start coming in, we don't know how that's going to look. At least you'll have your application submitted. And then if there are things that change, well, guess what? They're going to have to grandfather you in because you submitted your information prior to those changes being implemented. Michelle, you're on mute.
Mute. I was like, let me get myself off of mute. No, this is really important. You went down the look, guys. I'm telling you, you need to play it back because the information that we're giving you, you know, you're like, oh, I heard it before. But again, this is what we do. You know, we're always getting information about what is happening out here. You know, Shannon mentioned, yes, the SBA on for August 1st, they are shutting down for, they just say for 30 days. But again, I've seen them do updates and stuff. They are a humongous organization. Okay. So be clear on that, that sometimes it takes longer. So if you get your information in before August 1st, they will continue to submit your information. Okay. If for some reason you can't do it, again, this is federal wide. If you're like, okay, Michelle, I wanted to look at the state, you know, we could talk about the state. The state hasn't done that, but there's some changes that's also happened within the state for favor. You know, I would say for the most of the time, favor, yes. But if you're a new company, you are able to get your certification when you're brand new. They are in different states. They are beginning to change that. And the certifications are free within the government. Okay. So I say within the government because there's some councils out there that you have to pay on an annual basis. Those are good. But if you're just looking to get that
So Michelle,
certification,
with those councils that they have out there, what are the lists for the women? I think it's about what, 3, 4, you know, about 3 to 5 of them that you can go through. But I thought, because I was trying to compete for a contract on where we are Fort Liberty, and I was trying to do something with the services that I provide, and my application wasn't approved at the time. It was pending. I thought that if I went through one of those organizations that they could push my application through, but I was told no, they still have to go through the same waiting process as if you're submitting this independently. They just help you to make sure everything is in place. So once it's reviewed, then you may not have to go do the back and forth and the rejection emails if it doesn't qualify. Is that correct?
That is correct. They don't have a special back
Magic
in the
wand.
day. Right. They don't have a hookup. That people are like, if I go
Then you
through
hook a
this,
sister up.
right. Now the advantage that they do have, because they are a council, they do have other contracts that don't relate per se for that particular certification. They know that you're going through it, but if you say, "Oh, I'm going to go through this council," because again, like you said, the magic wand, the hookup, no, once you submit your information, they help you. Once you submit, you have to wait, so you can't jump the line. There is no line jumping. There is no line jumping. But what we do, again, and I've never been through their process. I know for me, I've been able within the state and local level get people certified within 30 days. Okay. And again, because I've been through this process over and over again, I know the commonality, and so you guys may see, like right now, we have the Knicks. This is what Shannon was saying.
Nice. Okay, I was about to
Right.
say I know it's something like that. I know
Look,
NAICS,
see,
but
it's Knicks, is Knacks, whatever you
okay.
call it. It's like
Michelle, but
tomato,
on
tomato.
this, can we just have a little bit of fun? Because we got to make believers out of the people that think that there is no industry for their service.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So let's look at beauticians.
All right.
So what she's doing right now is putting in keywords that are relative to the type of industry or service that you provide. And what this is giving you codes. So when you file your taxes, your accountant should actually list these codes on your tax return to show what it's related to. Look at all of this. Just look at all this.
Mm-hmm.
All you hair braiders out here.
Come on now.
Come on now. Come on. Look at this. And then we won't have time now because we've already gone over. We could then show you how to find this industry code in the government spending to show how much money the government has spent requesting services for these type of codes.
Yes. And the other one, the big one that I get is like childcare. And I don't know
Oh
if
my
I
God,
together
yes.
or not. But guys, when I say childcare, that one of the things that I want to say is the Navy. Each year they have this huge conference. And because of COVID, it really accelerated that a lot of people, again, they had to still go to the conference, but they did not want to be away from their children. So at the conferences now, they ask for childcare. Okay. And so under this long RFP, they're asking for music, they're asking for security, they're asking for car services, they're asking for Airbnbs, they're asking for beauty. You guys just saw beauty, and they're asking for childcare. If you don't have this, they're not going to look you up. And of course, as childcare, you have to have all the licensing and stuff like that. But you have got to have this in place. They have to see, like Shannon said, your CPA, they're putting these codes down here. So all of a sudden, like I see something huge, like, okay, 10% of this $2.5 billion contract is going to go for childcare. And I'm like, oh, I can do childcare. I have 4 kids. They're going to look at my history and see that I've never used this NICS code ever in my life. And they're going to ask questions of like, when have you done childcare? What are the ages? They're going to ask all this. But as a child care provider, you will have this. And there are also contracts out there. There's also grants out there. I mean, like Shannon said, we can go on and on. There's any industry. I don't care what industry you're in. You shine shoes. The Navy needs you.
So, Michelle, I got to make a believer out of those who are watching. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and I just want to show them briefly about, say, the beautician services. If you don't think the government spends money on beautician services, well, let me just make a believer out of you really quick. I don't want to show screens I shouldn't be showing. I got 1,000 of them open right now. Okay, here we go. I'll pick that one. So I put in beautician, and I just want you to see, here's the area map, and it shows which states spend more money on beautician services. If you look at this dark green, if you can do services in Virginia, Illinois, look, more than $667,000 has been awarded. And then if you look at these other states, the greener it gets, the more money they spend. In other states, they do less spending. Look how much has been awarded out for that category. I just did a beautician search, and I did new awards only. The SBA has awarded $4.49 million in new awards. Department of Defense has awarded $256,935. So again, what we are trying to help you all to understand is that there is money out there, government money, government contracts for the services that you provide. So we just want to let you know, if you're sleeping on this certification process, then keep sleeping if you don't want to scale up to those millions. But we are definitely here to help you. So what we've done is we've created a community called Scale to Millions. It's on LinkedIn. And we did that strategically because LinkedIn is where the business transactions happen. LinkedIn is the golf course for social media when it comes to doing business and networking and leveraging your skills with someone else's skills and being able to create joint ventures and other type of partnerships and get you in doors you wouldn't be able to get into any other way. So we have this group. If you have not joined, just go ahead and do a search for it, Scale, the number 2 millions, and definitely become a part of that, because we're always uploading new information that will help you to go ahead and get prepared, especially for those of you who are retired, approaching retirement. You are already established in business, and your revolving door is just not spinning the way it should, and you're not attracting new clients. It doesn't mean that you got to close your doors. What it does mean is that you need to look at other opportunities. How are you willing to invest in being able to be more marketable so that you can be more profitable? And this is where we come in. This is why we're here, to be able to help you, because you don't have to navigate that process on your own. And then you don't have to go through these large companies and then just be tossed to and from a different associate waiting for people to get back at you. You can actually get help real time with other people who have done it or who are doing it and doing it in a more excellent way so that we can get these millions.
I love it. I love it. Look, we want to make, our goal is to make millionaires out of you. Okay. The money is out there, the opportunity is out there, and the services, the products, your skill set, it is out there. Okay, Shannon just showed you, beauty. That's one of the biggest ones I get. Michelle is their one for beauty. Absolutely. And especially if you guys are in the beauty industry, and if you've ever been in the airport and you've seen, I can't think of her name. Is it Kendall Jenner? Is that the right one? Who has the beauty? She became a billionaire. You see her
Right, the
machine.
vending machines. Yes.
Yes. Guess what? They need a black company to do the same thing. I'm being very for real about that. They are looking for, I have seen things out there. If you are not prepared, then prepare to have your business out there. I've seen it. They'll have it for wigs, they'll have it for nails, they'll have it for the lashes. They have it, So when you have that product in place and you have that business plan in place, and of course you have that certification, people are looking for you guys. People are looking for you. So don't ever say there's nothing that I do that the government don't need, because again, like I said last week, the government is a huge household. Me, I have 4 kids. So the more kids you have, the more people in your house, the more things you need. Some of you guys got, like, I heard somebody, the woman said, I have 8 kids, Lord. Right? So just imagine, she needs toilet paper, she needs toothpaste, socks, shoes, pillows, mattresses. When I say that everything that I'm naming, there has been an RFP, there have been a contract out there that someone has been awarded for all of those things. Nail clippers. Okay. I was like, soap. So don't think that you don't qualify. You are qualified.
You are more than qualified. We'll show you how if you don't understand it. And this is why we invite you to sign up and become a part of our community, because we're offering a special invitation to individuals who are looking at accelerating their business to scale to millions. And if you have not done the certification process, then we are opening the application process to select a few women, just a few, on walking through this process, so you're not doing it alone, getting everything prepared for you to be able to submit to the government for your certification process in less than, what was it, 90 days, 60 days,
Yep, in less than 60 days. And if
less than
we're
60
going,
days.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And if
So
you guys are trying to get into the SBA, then you guys have got to sign up now. You have, if you have it's a long list, but we want to get you in there before they shut that down. But if they do, there's still other certifications
mhm.
that you will submit all your information within 60 days.
Yes, and we're telling you what it is that we know, how we've helped other people, and heck, how I even helped myself in doing it. So if you're looking at, okay, well, I've been stuck here, I've been at five figures for so long, what can I do to put myself in a position to now look at being a seven-figure earner if you've never earned it before? And then how can you push to get to the eight figures, so you're not looking, good on paper, but in your bank account you can actually say that I'm seven figures over here. So there are a lot of people who don't even believe that this is possible for them. But as she was saying, nail clippers, toilet paper, all you shoppers out there, the government pays people to shop for them. They don't do their own shopping. So if you have to supply a whole base, a barracks, a battalion with toilet paper, imagine all that toilet paper you're going to need to buy for the government, and what that's going to do for you. And all you're doing is just shopping, finding competitive rates, submitting your qualifications when you apply for the government contract, and then getting the award. You would be the awardee. That's what we're claiming. This would be definitely it might be a mind-blowing experience, and you're going to kick yourself and be like, why wasn't I doing this sooner? Why wasn't I doing that before? So like now I've decided, okay, go back through the 8A certification process. It was torture the first time, and after that I said, this is for the birds. I can't do this, it's too much information. But one of my friends, my mentor, he was like, Shannon, he said, if you really want to get settled in that criteria, and you want to get to those eight figures, you need to apply for your 8A, because they'll come to you. But guess what? In and of myself, busy, the business owner, doing all these different companies and things like that, I'm like, I got to pay somebody to help do this. And it's not that I have to pay. I have to invest in my company to be able to put it in a different position financially, and be able to do more, have more authority to make different type of decisions, because I'm in a financial position, because I have another revenue source through the government coming in. But that's not going to happen if I keep making the excuses as to why I can't put it in, when I need to start saying I can, with the right team support, invest in myself, invest in my company, and get access to these millions of dollars.
So I only have one thing to say. Are you guys ready?
Are you
Let's
ready?
go. Let's go. Look, as always, I love talking about this because it's just people winning. I love to see people win. I love to see people build community and legacy in their family, and that's what we want. We are very family minded, community minded individuals, and we want you guys to win. So most definitely, again, continue dropping your questions. We will answer them. Join us. We're starting this in July, so we want you to go ahead and join us. And we, like Shannon said, we're looking for a few women. So look us up. If you got questions, let us know. We are on LinkedIn. We are up and popping on LinkedIn. So we'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful weekend. You know,
Yes, have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you soon. So make sure you put your applications in early because, like I said, this is just for people who are like, I'm ready. So if you're ready and if you're watching, definitely type in the comments, I'm ready, and we'll reach out to you. If not, follow us on LinkedIn.
absolutely. Bye, guys.
Bye.